Alright, so these are the tools and materials you're going to need for doing the California drywall patch that I'm about to teach you. This is a drywall hawk. It is used to hold your compound on it, and these are your trowel knives that you're going to be using to apply the compound onto the wall and the patch. This is a drywall knife that you're going to use to cut out your patch for the drywall. This is a tape measure, so you can take the dimensions and mark out the dimensions with a pencil onto the patch so you can have the right dimensions. This is an X-Acto knife, so you can cut out the patch whenever it is needed. This is a square that you're going to use to square off your edges and make precision lines whenever you draw them out. This is your compound that you're going to use. It is all-in-one purpose, certainteed joint compound. And this is your extra drywall for the repair. And that is all the materials you're going to need for this California drywall patch. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to teach you how to patch drywall. As we have determined right now that it is an interior partition, not an exterior. And I'm going to represent the California drywall patch. And the first step is to look to see if you have vapor barrier or insulation in behind the drywall, as right now we have none. So first step is to identify your drywall hole, like the hole in the drywall. You want to check how big the hole is. You want to determine how big the hole is. As you can see, it's 2 inches roughly by 2 inches. So for the hole, for the drywall you have to cut out, it has to be double the size. So if it's a 2 by 2 hole, you want to make it a 4 by 4 hole on the back side of the drywall. You do not want to cut out or mark up the front side, because it is actually the finished side on the drywall that you're going to have to plaster over and stuff. So do not do it on the good side, which is the white side. You want to do it on the cardboard paper on the back. So now that we have identified the size of the hole and the size of the repair patch that we need, this drywall is going to be our repair patch. We are going to mark out our 4 by 4 piece that we have determined. So mark out a 4 by 4 piece. 4 by 4. So once you have marked that, you're going to take your square, you're going to draw your lines where they intersect perfectly. Just like that, a 4 by 4 patch. So now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take your drywall saw and you're just going to cut it out. You can try to cut along the lines as perfectly as possible, because you want your patch to be a square, because you're going to have to cut this out later. So right now we're just going to cut out the piece of drywall. So now that we have cut out the 4 by 4 piece of drywall, you're going to have to draw roughly the size of the patch that you want to put in, so roughly 2 by 2. So that's what we're going to do next. So now that we have our 4 by 4 inch piece cut out, we have to make the patch of the piece of gypsum that has to be patched. We have to make it a 2 by 2 square. So now to make that happen, we have to do an inch in on each side. So you're going to measure an inch in on each side. Then you're going to square it off. Just like this. Use your square, or square. So now that you have your lines, it has made a 2 by 2 patch, as you can see. 2 by 2 roughly. So that's what we want. Now what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to score the pieces back. Whenever you score them, you're gonna be able to snap it a bit. You want the paper on the front to stay the same 4 by 4 piece. You're just gonna have to peel off the gypsum.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut through, just like that. It might be a little tough, but once you get through, it'll come off pretty easy. So once you cut through the paper, you're into the gypsum, which is kind of tough, but you'll get it.
There we go. Now you gotta break it just like that. Whenever you break it, the gypsum should come right off. Just like that. Just peel it nice and gently. You do not want this paper on the front to rip off. So just like it came off like that, you just gotta, you just snap it just like Kit Kat. And you just slowly peel it off just like that. And you can put your finger underneath so you make sure it doesn't rip. Just put pressure on the bottom. So when it comes off like that, you just want to do the last 2 pieces. So you're gonna have to cut these pieces out. So now, just peel it off just like that. And now we have our 4x4 piece that is just going to sit in that wall whenever we cut out a 2x2 hole. So even though I said not to cut the paper, it's okay if you cut the paper, just try not to cut off the whole side. It's just a little troubleshoot. It's okay, the plaster will cover right over. Nice. So next step is to put your 2x2 gypsum right over the hole, just like that. What you're going to want to do is just draw the square right over top, right on the wall, just like that. So now you have a hole, like a little square. You just want to trace out that square right on the wall. So now what you're going to do is you're going to have to take the drywall saw and you're going to have to cut this little square out. Yeah. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut through here with your drywall saw. But one thing you want to make sure is whenever you're doing this patch only works if there's no stud in behind this hole. So this hole, there's no stud, as you can hear. There's a stud close, but if the stud is there, you're going to have to do a whole different patch. So this patch will not work for you. So you're going to want to take your drywall saw, you're going to want to stab it right in. And you're going to want to cut.
There we go. Now what you do, the cutting is much easier.
Just like that. Doesn't work. There we go. Now that this is through, just want to clear it out a bit. There we go. Clear it out. Now it's ready for your 2x2 hole. Now that we have our 2x2 hole cut, and we have our piece of gypsum patch, California patch, we're just going to see if it fits into the hole. And if it doesn't fit in the hole, you're going to have to take your drywall saw and you're going to have to adjust it so it does fit this patch. So it should fit in perfectly just like that. And now we're on to the next step. So the next step, you're going to have to take your drywall hawk, and your drywall trowel, and you're going to want to take your joint compound right here. You're going to want to take a good amount. You're going to want to put on a good amount on your... Alright, so now that you have it on here, you're going to want to do a nice coat on each side of the hole, just like that. So you're going to want to take a good amount, roughly around a good amount. You're going to want to put a nice film over the top, not too little, but not too much. So just like this on each side. Once you get a nice coat on each side, when you're done that step, is to put your patch into the hole. So you're just gonna put it in there, just like that. Flatten out your edges, and then now what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to take your trowel and just push gently, just to take out some of the joint. Like that. You're gonna want to hold the joint or the patch at the same time, just to squeeze it out a bit, make it nice and flat. There we go. The next step is you're going to want to clean up all this excess compound, and you're going to want to make sure it has good bonds. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to clean up all this, but you're going to want to put pressure on the patch at the same time, just like that. You're going to want to clean it off your knife. You're going to go on all sides, just like this. Put nice pressure, nice bond. So now we're back with our hawk, some more compound, and a bigger trowel. We switched over to a 6 because now we're going to do a second coat over top of the patch. So you just want to do a nice film. You're going to want to make a nice film the whole way through. Just like that. And you're going to want to do it on both sides.
There you go.
one right through the middle. Nice, no pressure. Very little pressure on it. You just want to make a nice coat over it. So this is the second coat. This is what it looks like. And now we're just going to wait for it to dry to add the third coat. Final coat. So I've went ahead and applied the third coat. It's the same as applying the second coat. Just nice even layers over top. Use a big trowel. And so we went ahead to the desired thickness that we wanted. So now it's like flush. Now all we have to do is sand. So that's the next step. Grab your sanding block. And what we're going to do is we're going to sand. Obviously the patch and all the compound. Now that it is dry, you gotta start from the outside edge and work your way in. So what you're gonna do is just gonna take it and do nice circles around the edge, and just like that, you're just gonna go around the edge and work your way into the center. And once you work your way in the center and everything is nice and smooth, that's the end of it. She's ready for paint after that.